And we welcome you to the Cubbie Corner here on SouthBendCubs.com. It's the South Bend Cubs broadcast team with you. I'm Brendan King with Max Toma back for episode 3 of the Corner. And Max, an exciting one on the way as an interview coming up with one of the top left-handed pitching prospects in the Cubs organization, a guy that made his professional debut in South Bend too. That's Jordan Wicks.
Yeah, so fun to talk to. I mean, really, it's obvious from the moment you start talking to him, from the moment we met him, the maturity level. I mean, you forget that you're talking to a 22-year-old. It feels like you're talking to someone who's been around the block for a decade. It feels like you're talking to John Lester. I mean, it just feels like a guy who's just so poised, in control. You can tell that he comes from just a tremendous family, too. Guy was just raised right. Tremendous in the classroom in college at Kansas State. If you look up his numbers, hold a ton of records, but also on the honor roll seemingly every single semester imaginable. Just a really intelligent guy, really down to earth, coming off, I mean, one of the best years you could possibly have. He got engaged last year. He, 3.1 mil signing bonus, first round pick to the Cubs, made his debut with us on the call in September. Guy's got a lot in store for this year as well.
No doubt. And that was a marquee sports network game too. And his first batter faced in his career was a strikeout. I remember, Max, when he got drafted, MLB Network asked him, is this the most exciting moment of this year? And he goes, no, I got engaged last week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like
quick.
you said, it's a guy that's got a lot going for him right now.
And yeah, he finished up his junior year at Kansas State, and then as opposed to going to play summer ball and, getting scouts another chance to look at him, he took a month off, stay healthy, kind of just ease into, spring and I could say, playing out in Arizona. But he basically said that, why would I go out there and play in the summer? They've already seen me for 3 years. They know what I can do. I'm not going to go out there and just all of a sudden throw 100 miles per hour. So, but yeah, just a great sit down. Always nice to catch up with him.
April 8th, opening day at Four Winds Field. We're pumped for it, but a lot coming up until then, especially in the month of February. And first of all, Max, the first thing that folks can look forward to is the South Bend Cubs job fair. If you're interested in coming out to work at Four Winds Field, a great place to stay in the summer.
Yeah, job fair coming up on Tuesday, February 15th, and then again that week, 2 days later on Thursday, February 17th, 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. here at Four Winds Field inside the Pepsi Stadium Club. There's just so much love in the air. It's so much fun to work here. Just a great place to come to day in and day out. I know we both worked many a days here and many a game here. And it's just such a treat to go out and, watch baseball and work in baseball and work amongst the fans. Everybody's happy here. No matter what's happening in the game, everybody here is happy pretty much all the time.
No doubt, man. And additionally, the Polar Plunge, something that means a lot to us all, Special Olympics Indiana, but especially our very own Chris Hagstrom, 6th year of this event at Four Winds Field. Saturday, February 26th, a minimum of $85 needed for Special Olympics Indiana. You'll get a Polar Plunge long sleeve t-shirt. But Max, the South Bend Cubs fundraising goal at $1,200, that looks to be eclipsed by now.
Yeah, I think they're 1,119, just, $81 away from that next goal. And then obviously after we hit 1,200, we're all thinking Platinum Blonde 2K.
That's right.
Hit that 2,000 number, and our boss Chris Hagstrom will be dyeing his hair Platinum Blonde. So make sure to go online and donate. You can sign up for the job fair. You can donate to the Polar Plunge online at SouthBendCubs.com. Doing a lot of great stuff, and we're certainly excited to get the 2K and then see where it goes from there, but really see Chris Blonde first.
We need 24 Karat Magic was kind of a Cubs song to begin with in baseball, but now it'll mean a totally different thing when that's playing at Four Winds Field before every game.
Oh, absolutely. And we got to make sure Chris is down there, doing some stuff on the field that opening series so everybody can see.
Last thing before we get to Jordan Wicks, the South Bend Cubs have a new coaching staff and a new manager. Lance Reimel, the former manager for the short season Eugene Emeralds when they were a Cubs affiliate, has also had some success in the Arizona League. But, Max, good timing as Lance Reimel announced as the new South Bend Cubs manager. But in our interview last week with Andy Weber, Webb mentioned that one of the guys that helped him in his transition to a more utility guy was Lance Reimel.
Yeah, guy who's pushing the right buttons and, an up and comer as a manager. Should be a lot of fun to see him. I think a lot of people are very excited. Won the Arizona Fall League as a manager with the Solar Sox last fall. Should be a fun staff. Nice to see Michael Ryan, who was South Bend Cubs manager last year, move up to Double-A Tennessee. Pitching coach TC Tony Kugel staying around. He did a lot of great work with a lot of really young pitchers and he might have a fantastic pitching staff to work with, especially in the early going here in 2022. I think that's what we're expecting.
Also want to congratulate our old friend Buddy Bailey, who returns as the manager of the Myrtle Beach Pelicans. There's nobody that works better with the young guys and the up-and-coming talent like Buddy. And then, as you alluded to off the air, Max, Marty Peavy, of course, a legendary run in Iowa, but technically every full season manager in the Cubs organization has spent some time in South Bend, including Marty Peavy.
Yeah, if you count the taxi squad, a couple of years ago, back in 2020, you count that season, Marty Peavy was managing the Chicago Cubs taxi squad right here in South Bend. So, I mean, you said it. Reimel, Peavy, Ryan, they've all coached here. Buddy Bailey, they've all managed here in South Bend, which is it's pretty fun.
We've got a good one for you ahead on the Cubbie Corner. It's Max Toma with Jordan Wicks, one of the top pitching prospects in the Cubs organization. Enjoy the interview.
Max Toma, joined by Cubs 21st overall pick from the 2021 draft out of Kansas State, Jordan Wicks. Jordan, you're back home in Arkansas. How's the offseason treating you?
It's been good. It's been really good. It's been nice to be home, see family, see the fiance, get to work out back here, and just kind of recharge before, heading out to Arizona and getting ready for this next season.
So you got some warm weather. Have you been throwing most of the offseason? How does that work? I know Max Payne said he just started throwing last week. Are you throwing, or do you give your arm a little break, or how does that work?
Yeah, I took a good little break whenever I first got home, and then we started ramping it up. I want to say like November-ish, and then started throwing bullpens a couple weeks ago, and so we were able to starting to really get into it and starting to get ready to head out to Arizona.
Okay, so honestly, where I wanted to start with you, I know you're a big football fan, you're a big Cowboys fan, and sadly, your Cowboys and my Packers both got bounced by the same team in the 49ers. But it's Monday, January 4th, as of us recording this. So last night you had some thoughts on NFL overtime. You wanna give us your opinion on what you think?
Yeah, I think it's the dumbest thing ever because, both teams are going to score. Like, whoever wins the coin flip was going to win the game. So, my thought is you take the clock out of it, eliminate the clock, start on the 50-yard line. Each team gets possession. And if it's tied after that, you do it again. And you just keep rolling.
I love that idea. I love going to the college football idea. Heck,
Yeah.
I've even heard people say, I think it'd be fun if they literally just played another 15 minutes. Just give them one more quarter, reset the clock. Let's play 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So you, if people don't know, you were an all-conference kicker your senior year in high school back in Conway, Arkansas. So you're the Bills kicker, 13 seconds left. Are you kicking it in the end zone for a touchback? What are you doing there?
No, I'm squibbing it up the middle. Make them run around with it a little bit. Can't cut it down from 13 to at least like 10 maybe, but I definitely would not kick the touchback there. You got to make them use some clock.
Yeah, squib or kick it high and kick it to like the 10. Yeah. I think is what had to be done. So if you're on the Chiefs, how close does Mahomes have to get a now 22-year-old Jordan Wicks to tie up the game with a field goal? I know you were 90%. You were a 90%
a lot
kicker.
Closer than they were. That's for sure. A lot closer than they were.
I read that you were.
I think my long, I think, was 42. I was from 42. Actually, I was from 42 to tie the game as time expired at home for one to send it to overtime. So that was my long.
What are the nerves like for a big kick? I know you were like a 90% kicker, I think, your senior year.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I was, for me, it was because I was looking at it. I was like, I don't really play football. This isn't really, what I do. So I don't really get wound up in it. And, it was, at that point, I had played in 2 state championship games in baseball, and so I wasn't, I'd been in bigger moments.
Yeah. Are you a lefty when it comes to kicking?
Yeah.
Yeah, lefty when it comes to both.
Yep.
So, obviously, new calendar year. We just started 2022 a couple weeks ago. Did anybody have a better and bigger 2021 than you? I just want to kind of go through, some of the things here. You got engaged on June 2nd, I believe. A few weeks later, you're the first round pick. You're the first ever first rounder from Kansas State. Obviously, that had to be a huge deal. A couple months passed. September 1st, you were 21 through all of that. September 1st, you turned 22. And then just 4 days later, you make your pro debut. It's right here at Four Winds Field in South Bend. Sunday Night Baseball, last home game of the year. It's on Marquee Sports Network. just, what was 2021 like for you overall? And, how do you keep yourself grounded after such a year?
It was crazy. I looked at it. It was a great year. Looking back, I'd put in a lot of work to be able to put myself in a position to have, those moments that year. And then, I took like the last, I think like New Year's Eve and New Year's Day and kind of looked back and was like, looking back and enjoying the last year and the moments. And then, but ever since then, it's been over. I've moved on, and, I gotta put in the work, and I gotta be able to do, just as much to make 2022 just as special. And so, that's the goal for this year. And, I put 2021 behind me, put it in the books, wrap it up. And then, now it's on to the next one.
So I want to go back in time to when you were a kid in Arkansas growing up. First off, I always love asking pitchers this. When did you know that you really had a special arm growing up?
I would probably say, I think I was like 10 years old, 9 or 10 years old. And I just loved pitching. I loved being out there. I loved having the ball in my hands. I loved being the guy where like you kind of control the pace of the game and kind of control how the game goes. And I loved that. I loved everything about it. Because when I played first base, it used to drive me nuts, especially in high school, being over at first base and not having control over, what pitch we're throwing, what we're executing, what we're doing this. And, you got to sit there and react, and it drives me nuts. Kudos to all the position players out there, because I couldn't do it. It would drive me crazy. But, so probably about then. And then, from there, it just kind of grew and grew.
So a 10-year-old Jordan Wicks, who were the players that you were, looking up to at that age? And, were they pitchers, and was baseball what you wanted to do? Do you always know it was baseball from then on?
Yeah, I always knew I wanted to have a career in baseball. Growing up, I was a huge Chipper Jones fan. That was my favorite player. I got a dog around here somewhere named Chipper right now that's probably laying around. But
that's a great dog name.
Yeah, and so he was a guy I looked up to a lot. Another one I loved to watch pitching was John Lester. And I know there's a lot of the comps there. But I just loved his fiery competitiveness and how he went about it. Just watching him, especially in all those playoff games, whether it was with, the Red Sox, the A's, when he's in Chicago, especially during that special run, it was really cool.
And obviously not just the lefty and the Cubs, but I feel like, the two of you, so much about what I've read and heard about you from the moment you were drafted to the moment you came here with South Bend to finish the season is about your maturity and competitiveness. And, certainly you think about John Lester, you think about a guy who, leads the locker room, leads the team, and kind of just, goes at his own pace, like you said, and really just kind of controls everything. But man, he's as fiery as they get when things are going right. Right.
Absolutely.
So then I want to go to high school, because I'm always fascinated by high draft picks and going back to high school just to see how dominant they were. So bear with me for a second. I know you said you were in a few state title games in Arkansas, but your junior year, 8-1, 0.86 ERA. You topped it the next year with a very consistent ERA, might I add. 11-1, 0.84 ERA the next year. What's it like to be just so utterly dominant at that level, so consistently? You had to know that you were pretty far superior. And then what was Jordan Wicks pitching like then versus what he was pitching like, his freshman year in college? And how did you develop in those years?
Yeah, it was good going into those last 2 years of high school, being able to go out and give my team a chance to win every single time I went out. I was real upset my senior year because I was going to be able to cut my junior year ERA in half, except I gave up 6 in the state championship game that year. And so that's with giving up 6 in the last game of the year. And so I was upset about that. But no, it was good. The one thing I was extremely blessed about is I had coaches that cared, about me as a person, and my growth beyond high school baseball. I had a pitching coach who is one of the biggest Cubs fans ever. He was my high school pitching coach. And, he started telling me my junior year, when I started just going out there and dominating and being able to dominate a lineup for 7 innings. He started telling me, he was like, I could sit here not say a word to you, just let you keep doing what you're doing, and you'd be perfectly fine, for high school. But at this point, it's not about what you do here. It's about getting you ready for when you go to college, you can make it and you can pitch immediately. And so we started working on things that were more advanced that I didn't really need in high school, because, you have two good pitches in high school, you can dominate a lineup. Honestly, you have one good pitch, you can dominate a lineup in high school. And so he started working with me more on being able to locate off speed stuff, being able to work on these things that I'm going to need to be able to pitch in the Big 12 and be able to pitch at Kansas State. And so I was, I'm extremely thankful for that. I have a great relationship with him to this day. And it's one of those things where, he definitely played a gigantic role in me being able to pitch at Kansas State as a freshman. So it just, that along with the strength of getting into a college weight room definitely helped a lot.
So I know your high school coach was with you in Denver on draft day, right?
No, college coaches were.
College coach, because I know you had coaches that had coached you in the past that were Cubs fans, right?
Yes.
So how excited were they, let alone yourself, when you got drafted by the Cubs?
They were ecstatic. It's awesome because, I gave them a little hint before the draft because, I had an idea that Chicago was a real possibility going into the draft. And I texted him and I said something, right before I turned my phone off and went in. I said, watch out for Chicago at 21. And, getting the text afterwards from him was really cool. He's a guy where, he's not going to, tell you exactly how he feels. He's definitely not a Hallmark movie type of emotional person, but I know he loved it.
And I know your family is super important to you. What was it like, and how important was it to you to have them with you on draft day in Denver?
Oh, it was awesome. Just being able to have everybody there and, get to experience that. I know, we had most of my family there. My future in-laws were there. It was awesome to have them there. And then, two of my best friends from high school, I wanted them to come because they, I'd played baseball with them from the time I was 5 years old and until I graduated, I was 18. And so, they played a gigantic role in getting to that day. And so, it was really important for me to have them there.
So to rewind a bit back to, you're now a freshman at Kansas State. You go in there after, mowing down kids in Arkansas for years on end. Expectations, they had to be high for you, but were they as high as Big 12 freshman of the year? You set the freshman record at Kansas State for strikeouts. You pitched more innings than any Kansas State freshman pitcher had ever logged. Were you surpassing your own even of loftiest expectations that you made for yourself?
Yeah, freshman year especially. I definitely was. I had the goal going into to make every start as a freshman on the weekend. So I wanted to make every start. I wanted to be able to put the consistency out there, be on the mound every week, and be that workhorse for them. And of course going into it, I didn't know what to expect. I always wanted a weekend job going in. And so, I put the work in and did all that. But, when it come to, Big 12 freshman of the year and the records and all that stuff, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know about the records until like the next day when I saw it or after the game, when I saw it on Twitter. I didn't even know, what it was, what anything was happening. But, it was definitely cool. It was really cool to, get to do it with the group of guys that I did. And, I'm just thankful for, everybody that believed in me and put their faith in me to get me to that point.
And for anybody who has never checked it out, if you go to your Kansas State baseball page on the website, I actually had to make my browser a little bigger to get all the accolades in there because there's just so many of them in order. And you wind up breaking the all-time school record for strikeouts in the same season. You broke the single season record for strikeouts. That was last year in 2021. But talk to me about a little bit of how tough it was dealing with 2020 and the COVID shortened season. Because, you look at the numbers that you put out. You were absolutely lights out. You started the year with a scoreless streak over 24 innings. You only allowed one run and I believe 26 plus innings. And then the season was cut short. How did that kind of throw you for a guy who is now in your second year at a D1 school, probably preparing himself for, a platform his next season, which he'll try to get drafted high? What was it like to have that season cut short when you were going so well?
Man, it was extremely upsetting. I remember being very angry afterwards because, like you said, that was my chance to make a name for myself and put myself on people's radars for the next year. And, I felt like that was the best I'd ever thrown the baseball. I felt like that was, the most I have, succeeded. And so, to be there and to, have it all kind of taken away was very frustrating, but I also used it as a way to, kind of go back to the drawing board. I knew there were some things that I needed to clean up. I needed to get better at to be able to pitch at the next level. And I knew that was my opportunity to do it. And so I came home, I hit the weight room. I started long tossing a lot, and I really started working on developing, a good breaking ball. And, it really opened up the door for me to go up to the Northwoods, and I was fortunate to have a lot of success in the Northwoods and really enjoyed my time there. And that was one of the biggest moments for me, was to be in the Northwoods and to throw there and to do all that sort of stuff. And so it goes to show you that, no matter what happens, God's always got a plan for you and always has, your best interest in heart. And so, that goes to show you can't judge it initially, because you never know what's coming around the corner.
You talk about the development of your breaking ball at that point in your life. When did you really fine tune that changeup? Obviously, I mean, every article, it was pretty ubiquitous reading about the 2021 draft. Everybody said that you had the best changeup in the draft. When did that kind of changeup come to be?
So it really took off right before my sophomore year of college, or I guess during my sophomore year. Because freshman year, I had this good changeup. It was good, had the potential to be great, and didn't really become great until sophomore year of college, just because I was a little bit afraid of it. I wanted everything to be on the edge. I didn't want to attack hitters with it. And then when I started attacking them with it, I realized they started swinging more and more, and they started swinging and missing more and more. And so, that just became, that just added to the confidence over and over and over again. I say this all the time, when it comes to throwing new pitches and pitchers and stuff like that, is, you'll never have full confidence in a pitch until you see people swing and miss at it. You can throw it in the bullpen as much as you want to, but, until you see people swing and miss at that pitch, you'll never, have the full confidence. And so more and more of the swings and misses that were coming and going were just, kept adding to that confidence.
So then final year, 2021, your junior season at K-State, obviously being in the Big 12, you'd pitched in front of scouts, I'm sure, almost every game. There's probably a lot of scouts at certain venues and with certain matchups. But your junior year, I'm sure there's just tons of scouts, ton of them are there watching you, because it is now, your year where you can be drafted. Did that put any extra pressure on you, especially after a shortened season the year before?
The scouts honestly didn't really bother me at all. I didn't really care, that they were back there. I didn't honestly really, like, obviously you notice them, but it's just kind of like a big cluster. Like, you don't go, oh, this one's here today that wasn't here yesterday. I couldn't have told you who was there, who wasn't, and anything like that. Because you just see people back there with radar guns, and it just, like I said, like they were even back there my freshman year. And so I got so used to them that I just, it didn't really bug me at all.
So at what point did you know you were most likely going to be a first rounder? And how did that, kind of come over you, that fact?
It was probably toward the end of the season. Definitely after the end of the season, thank God I was able to, stay healthy throughout the entire year. Which, credit to our training staff for that. They did an incredible job being able to, put me in the position to stay on the field for as long as possible. But I was a guy where, I never really, I don't count my chickens before they hatch. I didn't want to, get all excited about potentially being a first round pick, and, until I knew like it had happened. And then after that, I was able to definitely relax and enjoy the moment.
And then, so obviously then the summer is when you're drafted 21st overall by the Cubs. Is draft day, is that really nerve wracking, or is that like for the first time, it's a big moment with you in baseball where there's no pressure on you. Everything that you can do, you've already done. It's really the ball is in someone else's hands now. It's just when you're going to get picked, and you get to sit there and enjoy it with your family. Are you nervous? Are you emotional? Just kind of take me through you and the rest of your family at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the people around me were definitely more nervous than I was. I think a lot of that had to do with you know hearing from Chicago and engaging their interest and knowing if I got there, there's a pretty good shot I was going to go. And so that reduced a lot of it because okay, that's kind of like the last pick I could go to. And before that, you just don't really know. But it was a really cool atmosphere. Really glad I got to go out in Denver. And I enjoyed it. The coolest thing about it was the day of, you're sitting there and I really wasn't nervous. I was trying to go talk to every, former MLB All-Star that was there because there was tons of them. There was Fred McGriff was there, Will Clark. I was trying to talk to every person that was in the house. My favorite one I think I talked to was Nick Swisher. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
That guy is a hoot. And so I'm trying to I was talking to Nick when we were there. I was trying to get him to, I want to go golf with him sometime. So I'm trying to get that set up.
I was going to say, what did you talk to him about? I remember watching Nick Swisher for so many years, and that was a guy that was certainly always having a blast out there.
Oh, he's hilarious.
He's pretty fiery too. So so you talked to Swisher, you saw many other guys. I know that was a big weekend, obviously, for Brandon Davis too. He got the, the award for the Future Stars game, Futures game. Yeah. And I think it was Ken Griffey Jr. that handed him that trophy. So he got to meet somebody big. Who was the, most famous or cool person that congratulated you on draft day, on a day I'm sure that your phone was just, blowing up, I imagine.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely, getting to shake hands with Ryan Sandberg. That was awesome. Getting to meet him and I talked to Fred McGriff, a little bit after, and it was really cool getting to talk to him. And, he told me if I ever needed anything to reach out, which was really cool. I was happy to get that advice from him. And so, just meeting all sorts of those guys that are, super good guys. And all they wanted to do was to just help you try and have the success like they had, which is really nice to see.
So you join obviously a franchise with just tons of great history, but you also join this young core of prospect pitchers like DJ Hers, Ryan Jensen, Braylon Marquez, Caleb Killian, Cole Franklin. You go down the list. There's just so much young talent in the Cubs farm system on the mound. What's it like to be part, and immediately join that highly touted group that's going to be making their way towards Wrigley in the years to come?
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. I think I was talking to DJ, and we were talking about, we were talking about South Bend, and obviously like no one really knows where, we're going to start this year or anything like that. We'll find that out in spring training, but we were looking at it. We were like, the group of guys that could go to South Bend, like from a rotation standpoint, could be a heck of a lot of fun. And, they're kind of spread out, but it's really cool to, be around all those guys and get to see, how they get to do things. I was super excited to get to watch DJ pitch. I remember watching, I was telling him this, I remember watching the first time him warm up in the bullpen in South Bend. It was like I think it was my second day there. Cause I think I got there and then he threw the next day, and I'm walking out and I'm watching him, warm up in the bullpen. And it's the first time I've actually watched him pitch, and I'm looking at this dude and he strides like 3 feet toward first base, like throws across. And I'm like, how in the world do you do that? And it amazed me watching him, and he's another guy that pitches with that fiery competitiveness, and he's a lot of fun to watch go after it. And, I'm super excited to, hopefully be his teammate this season.
I remember he made his South Bend debut the same weekend you made your South Bend debut. And you can read a lot about guys. I read a lot about DJ before he pitched, and the motion that you're describing. And then when you see it in person, it's just something else. I remember going down after his start and talking to Skip, and the first thing he said was, it really looks like he's about to throw the ball into our dugout for most of the delivery, because that's right where Skip's standing, all the way at the home plate end. He said it looks like it's coming right there. So what was that like? You find, you have this break. You took a month off, I believe, from, your college season towards the draft. And then you're out in Arizona pitching in, I believe what you described as about 110-degree weather, and then you come up, you fly up here to Indiana, you make your debut here, but you're finally back in, a competitive game on the mound. I know you only got to pitch 1 inning. Certainly, I mean, that was the mindset going in, but you went up, struck out the first guy, 3 up, 3 down inning. What was it like to get out there and make your pro debut right here at Four Winds Field?
It was awesome. I was thankful that the Cubs let me go out, and get a little taste of it. So that's why, heading into this season, I know what to expect. I know kind of how things roll once you get to affiliate ball, because being an affiliate is a lot different than being in Arizona. And so I was really excited to be able to get out there and experience it. I'm even more excited for this season because I'll be, I honestly think I'll be a completely different arm going out there. Honestly, I'll tell you the truth, I was a little fatigued toward the end of the year, just arm wise. And so I'm really excited. Ball's coming out, completely different now than it did then, just from a, being refreshed and being healthy standpoint. And so I'm super excited to get out there and get after guys with what I feel like are all my bullets in the chamber.
So what have you been working on most this offseason that people who have, watched you pitch for years, whether they've looked up videos or they followed your career at Kansas State and then last year in South Bend, what are they going to be most surprised by or impressed by with you in 2022 when they see you make your, debut this season?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a change in repertoire. Obviously the changeup stays the same, that'll never go away. Knock on wood. I think it's a little bit of an enhancement in the breaking stuff. We've made a lot of progress there. I'm super excited to be able to kind of use those new weapons and see how people react to it and see how I can use them. And I'm ready to, see what, like I said earlier, you don't really have that full confidence in it until you see people swing and miss. And so, I feel like I have a lot more comfort with that now than I did when I was in South Bend. And so I'm excited to, get out and see how I can use it.
Lastly, obviously you got your feet wet. You had 4 appearances with the South Bend Cubs last year. But something I really wanted to ask you, because now you're obviously no longer a college student. Your whole focus is on being a pro baseball pitcher. But in college, I looked it up, and it's a fun thing they list among the accolades is you were on the Commissioner's Honor Roll 5 times. You were academic All Big 12 3 times, including twice first team All Academic Big 12. How much did that work ethic and hard work in the classroom, do you think, parallels and helps you out on the diamond?
Oh, it's huge. One of the things I talked about with, or one of the things I think it was Coach Hughes used to always talk to us about is he said, the work ethic you take into your classroom, it bleeds into your baseball, which bleeds into, how the kind of community service type of stuff. If you hold all of that, the academics, the community service stuff in high regard, and you don't cut corners in any of that stuff, you won't cut corners in baseball. But if you start cutting corners in the classroom, skipping assignments, not wanting to do, stuff for the community, it starts bleeding into your baseball. You start skipping reps in the weight room, you start doing, missing out on little stuff, and, it makes a big impact. And, I've seen a lot of that come true of what he said. And so, it's something to where I try and, hold myself to a higher standard. And, because I feel like if I do that off the field, then it'll help me on the field.
And then I do want to end with this one last question, which is a moment I'm sure all Cubs fans have visualized, but I'm sure nobody more so than you. When you visualize you making your debut at Wrigley Field with the ivy behind you with the full sellout crowd, I always envision it a day game in my mind. I don't know about you, but what are the emotions when you visualize that kind of moment? You're on the mound pitching in a Chicago Cubs uniform at Wrigley Field.
It's something, it definitely fuels the fire, and that's what I use it for right now. I use it as motivation to get to that point. It's something to where there's a lot of steps, to get there. It's not just, okay, when do I show up? I've got to show up and I've got to work. There's a lot of guys in our organization that have a lot of potential and are really good. And our organization is really competitive. I've seen the young talent, and, I think there's a lot there. And so I'm super excited to see all the guys, kind of grow this year and see what they bring to the table.
Well, thanks so much for joining me, Jordan. I really appreciate it. I think one of my biggest takeaways is going to be that when the Packers' terrible special teams units out there next year, I hope you're the guy kicking the 40-yarder when we need it.
Oh, I don't know about that one, but we'll agree to disagree.
All right, sounds good. Hey, really looking forward to seeing you out there on the mound in 2022.
Awesome. Thank you.
That is Jordan Wicks with our very own Max Tomo. We welcome you back on the Cubbie Corner. Max, what'd you take most from that interview?
I think the best quote is, I love to ask pitchers, especially, top prospect type arms, when exactly they knew that their arm was special, which I said in the interview. And then I asked him, and you usually expect an answer that's like, oh, maybe my first year in college, or, oh, maybe as a junior or sophomore in high school. Wow, my numbers are really good against some older guys, some guys that were going to play college. He said, like, right out of the gate, just 10 years old. He knew at 10 that he had a special arm. And I was just, I was just blown away. But yeah, I mean, his high school numbers were ridiculous. He clearly knew at that age, and his pitching coach was telling him that, you got the stuff. We need to be working on things to make you a better college pitcher right now and down the line, and make sure you're pitching right away as a freshman, because you're surpassed everybody here in Arkansas.
Wow, that's something. Second question for you: have you defrosted from your snow angels at third base? I feel like that was probably pretty chilly.
Yes, it is. It was. I actually stayed pretty dry doing them.
That's remarkable.
It
was a wet snow.
It's a tough thing to get out of the snow angel and make sure that it still looks good for a photo.
Yes.
You got to kind of be very careful, but yeah. Could you tell I did it right where the entrance to the field is, like pretty much right next to that gate?
Yeah, no,
I didn't do it anywhere
right
near
out of the gate,
anywhere near where the actual on deck circle is, but I made a joke that would be our on deck circle for the time being.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Opening day at Four Winds Field, April 8th. We are counting down the days, just getting to the 60-day mark. That is something. Max is pumped. I am pumped. Cubbie Corner with you all off season long, and some stuff to look forward to. Max, a couple interviews coming up.
Yeah, I'm talking to DJ Hers actually tomorrow afternoon, which I'm thrilled about. Just a guy who, was a highly touted guy coming out of high school, dropped a bit in the draft because, people were worried about his signability. Was he going to go to college? And then did he just go out and have himself a year? Minor league pitcher of the year in the Cubs farm system last year in 2021. So I'm pumped to talk to him, just to pick his brain, and just a guy who's just shooting through the system, shooting up the prospect ranks. And it's a very unique style and delivery in which he pitches.
Yeah, we're also going to catch up with an all-time fan favorite, and that's Delvin Zinn. Got to play 2018, 2019. It has been and multiple stops at Four Winds Field, and a guy that is connected with fans more than just about anybody that's passed through those turnstiles. DZ's the man.
It's funny to say, but everybody was just so happy to see him leave.
Correct.
And and I mean that in the nicest way possible. And it happened right at pretty much the trade deadline. It was that week, middle of the week. So it was a week where whenever you were watching, the minors or the pros, whenever you saw guys hugging somebody, that meant he had just been traded, right?
Yes.
And after a game in Quad Cities, the whole team was hugging DZ, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting with Gary, the bus driver, and I'm like, what's going on with Delvin? I found out after the game, he was getting sent up to AA Tennessee, and everybody, top to bottom, all the way in this organization, everybody knows DZ. Everybody knows that, that smile that lights up a room. Everybody was just thrilled for him. Yeah,
that is one of the most nerve-wracking, I think, broadcaster things in minor league baseball, hug watch, because you don't know exactly what's happening. You have no idea. You have no idea. This is the Cubbie Corner. That's Max Toma. I'm Brendan King. We'll talk to you guys next week with a brand new episode. So long, everybody.